5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome everyone to Truth Beer and Podsequences. This is the podcast where my co-hosts and I listen to all the craft beer podcasts that came out from the previous week. We get together on a Tuesday here at BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery, and we give our version of how those podcasts went. And hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other shows. So far, so good. I am Marco. I'm a brewer and a bartender here locally in Cincinnati. And it is time to introduce the best co-host in Podcastlandia.
I am Julia, and I am a drinker of all of the fine beers in this absolutely wonderful craft beer city of Cincinnati.
Big shout out and thank you to our podcast host, BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery, and also a big shout out to everyone who is new to the show, first timers, and also thank you to everyone who's been with the show for a while now. Truly appreciate your listenership.
Mm-hmm. If you want to support the show, you can, first and foremost, talk to your friends about us. Tell them to listen to our show. You can like, follow, subscribe, review, all those good things. We are on social media. We are at Truth Beer Pod just about everywhere. You can find our episodes on YouTube. Just search for Truth Beer Pod. And you can email us at truthbeerpod@gmail.com if you have any show ideas for us. And if you would like to monetarily support the show so we can get new headphones, buy more beer, more than likely just buy more beer,
right,
you can do that by going to truthbeerpod.com and click on the big blue support us link.
Excellent. And if they have any complaints about the show, where do they send those?
At Raging Hop on Twitter.
There you go.
Best complaint department we've ever had.
We take all sorts of feedback. We take it all.
Mm-hmm, we really do. I would like to say that while BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery is fresh and clean today,
yeah,
I almost had a literal run-in with the Cintas guy coming here.
I know,
you
I saw
witnessed
that.
this.
I did see it.
I don't know
what that was about. Julia was trying to enter the parking lot, and the Cintas guy almost took Julia off the earth. I mean,
I don't know what...
That was a weird standoff.
We have done nothing but praise him.
I know.
For this is now episode 35, so for over 35 weeks we have been singing his praises, and he tries to run me off the road. I swear to God, I did not put a sticker on the Cintas truck.
Right.
There was no reason for that kind of aggression.
He was in and out so fast, too.
You know, it's not quite as fresh as it normally is, so...
yeah. Sorry, you still get down here, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Got a bunch of new beers on tap here.
Yes,
and,
yes. Really good tap list. And just like you were saying, this is a beer podcast.
Right.
And so we need to have beers. And luckily, we both have beers in front of us.
Oh, gosh.
Would you like
good
to?
Thing.
It really is, especially after the day that we both had.
Yeah.
What are you drinking today, sir?
I'm having a Rally Cap. It's true. It's a Will Smith beer.
It is. That beer slaps, especially on slow pour.
That's
Can't
right.
beat it.
Yep. And Julia, what are you having?
Because of my near-death experience that I had moments ago, I decided to go big, and I am having a glass of the barrel-aged Oktoberfest from Sam Adams. Boston Beer Company.
Good.
It's really good. It is very good.
I had some last week, actually. It was really good. Very tasty.
It has held up incredibly well.
It has.
So,
and everybody get over here to BC's and say hello to the new producer that they have here, Ben. So there's
another B.
Another
BC's.
B in BC and another Ben.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
They're collecting Bens at this point.
Goodness.
So thanks again, everyone, for coming along. And let's see, what did you listen to, Julia?
I listened to several podcasts this week. I listened to the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is going to be, it almost sounded like the final episode in their 5-part trilogy, even though this is only part 3, but it remains to be seen. There may be more. Shift beers.
Yep.
Got my shift beers fix in.
Yep.
And then we were very lucky. We got
We were blessed with.
We were blessed with. We were blessed with an episode of Cincy Brewcast. So we're going to be going over that as well.
Yep.
Awesome. What would you like to start with, Marco? Let's get this ball rolling.
Let's start with the shortest podcast to come out since we met last. Let's start with Cincy Brewcast.
All right. This was Volume 8, Episode 1. So brand new volume of the Brewcast.
There we go.
He did tease a lot that there are big changes coming to Cincy Brewcast.
The Brewcast.
Yes.
Is what he said.
Yes. On Friday, so this Friday, the day that this episode drops, so I may put this episode out earlier in the day.
Okay.
He did say that there is a chance that there will be kind of either a teaser or a preview. Normally his episodes drop on Mondays, but he said that he might stream it live and kind of have like an interactive chat going on, maybe on Facebook, something else on Friday.
I might have to call off my works.
You probably should. All of them. Yeah. All of your
call
works.
Call off my works.
But yeah, so follow the Gnarly Gnome on all the social media platforms and check that out because there are big things a brewing, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see what I did there.
I did.
He talked a bit about his 30-plus beer fridges.
A lot of beer fridges.
He has a lot of beer fridges, and each beer is kept at a different temperature.
Yeah.
So that the beer that goes into that fridge is the perfect temperature to drink when he's in the mood for it.
There's also a system of promotion and then relegation through each of these fridges.
Yes, it was really interesting, really in-depth. I still need a single beer fridge. And my Josh, to be specific.
Right. The Gnarly Gnome just walked in.
As we're
talking about a show.
The timing could not be better.
Let's do this. Let's not talk 2 times as long about this podcast than it actually was.
Let's do it.
Unlike what was it last week?
Oh my
where we
God.
talked about, or was it the week before where we talked about
the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, which was like a 25-minute episode, and we talked about it for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do this, guys. We just like talking about this stuff. That's why we have a podcast.
That's right.
But no, seriously, this was a shorter episode. Big things are coming for the Brewcast, so be sure to follow the Gnarly Gnome everywhere. Cincy Brewcast on some of the other social media platforms. Check out his YouTube page, which is youtube.com/gnarlygnome. But I did find out you can actually change that URL up to 3 times in a calendar year. So if he wants to make it the Gnarly Gnome, he most certainly can. Yes, pro tip for him in case he happens to be listening. And support him. I mean, go to thenarlygnome.com/support. He has done wonders for the craft beer community here in Cincinnati. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. But yeah, let's leave it at that. Again, it was a quick episode. Keep an eye out on his social media platforms on Friday for either a teaser or an early release of Volume 8, Episode 2, which covers where things are going for him in the future.
Yes, and so from a content standpoint, I just want everybody to know that there was a little bit more than that in it. I mean, we gave you some highlights. We did not give you all of them.
Correct.
But yes, new things are coming, and it'll be really interesting to find out what those new things are.
Absolutely.
We are staying tuned, and I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to take our first break and go talk to our buddy that just walked in, and then we'll catch up with you guys in just a few.
We will be right back. That was, I think, the longest break we've ever taken from this podcast. The listeners don't know that.
Not for the listeners. They don't know that.
No,
they don't know that. Yes. So True Live, our friend the Gnarly Gnome, was here at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery. Had a good time talking to Gnarly Gnome.
Absolutely. As we always do, follow him, support him, do all of that good stuff to make sure that Gnome Creative and Cincy Brewcast and everything that evolves into keeps going until the end of time.
Yeah, everything we asked you to do
for us
0.5 seconds ago.
Everything we ask you to do for us, do for the Gnome. I mean, without him and all these other podcasts, we're not there. But we have 2 more podcasts to cover, and BC's is going to kick us out in less than 2 hours, and we talk a lot. So
we do, and
let's get this ball rolling.
We like to have a beer or so while we do tear down the equipment. So let's go. Let's run.
So
through it.
You do have a different beer in your glass, as do I. So let's update. What do you have?
That same one I opened the show with, that Will Smith beer.
The one that slaps?
The one that slaps.
We all know it's Sonder's Rally Cap.
Yep.
And I have one that is brand new on the board. Ooh, they took off the new from the board between the time that they poured this and now. It is from Sonder Brewing. It is Drink by 420, and It is dank, and it is good AF. So we are going to go over Craft Parenting Podcast. That's the next show that we have written down on our laminated show sheets. This episode is part 3 of their 37-part trilogy on the book Cincinnati Beer by Michael D. Morgan.
Which is Tracy Morgan's stepbrother on his mother's sister's side.
I mean, it's our truth, and therefore it is now your truth. This is something that I've mentioned this before. If you're interested in Cincinnati Beer, the book, or Michael D. Morgan, the author, the Gnarly Gnome did an episode of Cincy Brewcast where he interviewed Michael D. Morgan. It was aired on April 29th of 2019, Volume 5, Episode 7. Go back and listen to that. It was a very good episode. It was a really good interview with Mr. Morgan. Caroline covered a bit. My bad.
Caroline.
She covered a bit in this episode about how she almost got arrested by the Cincinnati Public Library Police.
That's not a real thing.
It is. The way that she explained it on the show, it is a very real thing, at least to her. That is her truth, and therefore that is now my truth, and that is now our truth.
Okay.
So if you want to know how
go.
Caroline was almost...
Caroline.
Very nice. How she was almost arrested by the library police who even knew that they existed until now, you have to listen to this episode. They talked a bit about how, this is episode 52, Cincinnati recovers from Prohibition. Brekfast Brewing was the first brewery in Cincinnati that was able to sell beer as soon as Prohibition was lifted. And I need to give a shout out to my friend Nikki Bruckman, who is a descendant of the Brekfast Brewing Company. She is a slight name drop there, not gonna lie. She is a badass chick. She is the CEO of Explorer Chick, which is an all-women's adventure, I don't want to call it vacation, but adventure company. So if you want to swim with whale sharks in Baja off of California, or hike, Machu Picchu?
Yeah. Yeah,
Her company, explorechick.com, check it out. But her family's company, Brekfast Brewing, was the first brewery that, after Prohibition, they had already been upgrading their equipment. They had already been given licenses to make beer, not necessarily sell it, but to have it on ready to be able to put out there as soon as Prohibition was lifted.
Not the same place, but I have been to Chichen Itza.
Very close, I think.
Yeah.
Geography isn't my strongest suit, but I will say that yes, that is fairly close to Machu Picchu.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm saying that correctly, but as we know, pronunciation is key.
That's right.
And is not always accurate here.
No, not at all. But continue, Julia. Great notes.
Sorry, there's an ambulance backing up in the BC's Bottle Lodge.
They're waiting on me. No, I called them. It's like an Uber. It's like an Uber for, we've been here so long. And
that they're like,
drinking,
hey, you know what?
Drinking with friends, and I just put them on alert. They're waiting.
Okay, all right.
It's fine.
Okay, that's
no,
fair.
it's fine.
That's
it's
fair.
all good. It's fine.
A couple other things that Caroline brought up in the episode was that by 1934, Cincinnati was up to 11 breweries from 1 at the start of Prohibition.
So Mount Carmel and Listerman.
Rivertown, everyone's favorite. Everyone's favorite. Christian Moorline. They did a Christian Moorline Select, which was a dark lager. And it was actually, as I did not know this, thank you, Caroline. I'm sorry, Marco.
No, I
was going to say I didn't pronounce Caroline correctly.
Caroline.
We've had beers. Christian Moorline Select was the first dark lager made. Well, I don't know if it was the first dark lager made in Cincinnati, but it was the first American beer to pass the German purity standards, which is, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool if that's accurate.
Very good.
And again, most of the episode, the meat of the episode about the book, I don't want to give it all away because I want you guys to listen. We want you to subscribe and hear how Caroline and Joe present this part of the book. It did end on a very big cliffhanger, so you guys will have to listen to this and then check out the fourth part of their trilogy on Cincinnati beer and their recap about Cincinnati and Prohibition, and send them pineapples.
Yeah.
They have a P.O. box. They want pineapples.
Pineapples have historically been a sign of wealth.
They have. And hospitality. A lot of people... And I don't want to say the words correctly, but way back in the day, in the past, there was, if someone who didn't have a home, who traveled from town to town by train, by walking, whatever, if they found a home that was very hospitable, that was very friendly and helped them out, they would carve a pineapple on their fence posts.
That's right. And so what about upside down pineapples, Julia?
Brilliant cake. And wonderful in beer.
Well,
some beer.
I think that's in some places that has a different meaning. So for those of you on the Patreon
live stream, I almost died.
Julia,
the ambulance. Marco was like, "Call an ambulance," but not for me. It was for me. I just about died there. But no, Craft Parenting Podcast episode, my contact is not even centered on my eyeball anymore. This is not good. Episode 52, it is the third episode out of their Prohibition book recap. The book is Cincinnati Beer by Michael D. Morgan. It's one of those episodes that is more educational than about fun, than about like all the different things that they've done with the family over the last week. I really enjoyed listening to it. I don't know if there's going to be a part 4 to this trilogy, but if there is, I'm in for it. I'm in to see what else happened with Cincinnati after Prohibition ended, after all the breweries were able to get back together and get the beer pumping. They were putting more beers out in bottles and cans instead of kegs. And it was a good time. It was a very good listen. So you definitely check out this episode, support Craft Parenting Podcast everywhere, and that's all that I got for this one. How about you, Marco?
I think you did a great job covering it, Julia, and great job putting out content, Craft Beer Podcast. I just want to say, look, spoiler alert, the symbiotic relationship is so fantastic that your favorite podcast co-host, Julia, is going to come up on a future episode of Craft Parenting Pod. So stick around and get ready for that. Great job, Craft Parenting Pod. And you know what? Let's move on to the next show.
All right. Next we have coming up, Shift Beers. We are back, and we have fresh beers in our glasses. This is going to be so good. Marco, you're chugging that shit. What do you have?
I think it's unfair to the listening audience to think that I'm just sitting here
pounding beers.
Beers.
It's been
we've
multiple minutes.
A great dialogue with our friend the Gnarly Gnome, who did not want to be on mic today, which is fair.
It's his time off.
It doesn't. Every time he shows up, he doesn't need to be on mic.
No, not at all. Not at all. But
he's here, and we are off mic having great conversations, which does force us to channel our on mic time and squeeze it into a certain time period. So yes, I have a beer. I am drinking Untapped Potential.
Nope. Aren't you drinking Vlad? Didn't you get the Vlad? No. Oh, then did I give you the wrong beer?
No, it's the Kolsch from Third Eye, Untapped Potential.
I gave someone I don't know who I gave what beer.
I mean,
but
whatever.
I'm drinking the same thing, Untapped Potential from Third Eye Brewing. A Kolsch.
Let's go.
It's delicious. And we're
going into Shift Beers. Let's
Everyone's favorite fun podcast.
We need to rip through this, Julia.
Yes.
Kind of like, Chris rips through farts.
Oh, thank God those are on mic. Episode 73, Beers for Breakfast. Chris hosted this episode. He ran the board.
He did.
He did
ran
a
the
great
board.
job. He did an absolutely phenomenal job.
It is truly fun. I have not run the board for us yet.
Not yet. No. Whenever you want to do it, just let me know, and I will flip this thing. And you're good.
I will let you know. But Chris did a good job running the board. I truly like that they're doing that. Honestly, we have tried to set up and be nimble. Like if you or I can't, be present, or if we need to have co-hosts, we, have a bank of potential co-hosts. But running the board, we haven't experimented with that necessarily.
We should do that next week.
We should.
Well, next week's going to be a bit of a non-BC episode. It's going to be an on-location episode.
Yes.
So maybe the week after that, just so you're not too...
Well, we'll tell everybody what's going on so that all the people that love us and follow us don't show up to BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery all at the same time wondering where the hell we are.
Yeah.
We're going to record on location next week at
which would be April the 5th.
April the 5th.
In case you're listening to this in the future.
Correct. At Higher Gravity Summit Park, place where I'm a bartender. I pour beers there, and we're going to talk with one or both of the owners of Higher Gravity, and
it'll be a great time.
It's going to be a blast. On location next week. We won't be at BC's Bottle Lodge, but as far as shift beers is, great that Chris ran the board. Really fun. Did a great job. How long was the drinking segment?
Not as long as it normally is. They actually kept it pretty well contained, and I don't know if that's because Chris was running the board or just because Brian didn't do his typical, no, I didn't drink that much, except for I drank all the things. But it wasn't half the episode.
He did that, though, in the beginning. He's like, I didn't really drink that much. And then,
he kept interjecting like, oh, yeah, as you're mentioning you're drinking, I also drank this and I also drank that.
They did mention they were here at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery
They did.
Last Friday. And it's okay. They didn't mention that they were drinking with me. That's fine. I'm not looking for shout outs or anything because they shouted the show out plenty throughout their show.
Yes.
I mean, they even played a full segment of our show during the show.
which was something that we need to recover because we have new pieces to add to that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know if we want to start there or start from the notes you have, Julia. Go ahead.
Let's start with that. So in our last episode, or no, 2 episodes ago, I believe it was already, it was just Chris, Brian, and Josh. Beth was unavailable to record, and somehow the topic of drag names came up. So we gave Brian, Chris, and Josh drag names because they were the only 3 on the podcast. We were not intending to leave Beth out. It was just
we did because she wasn't
part of the episode that we were recapping.
Yeah.
But both of us were not happy with our drag names for Brian.
No.
And we knew we needed to come up with drag names for Beth, which both of us did. I actually have a couple for both of them. Again, none of them really give me the same amount of confidence or joy that the names that I came up with for Chris and Josh, but they're definitely better than what I came up with previously for Brian. So do we want to do Brian's drag names first and then Beth's?
Yeah, we can do Brian's drag name.
Okay.
I only have one new one. I'm not... I didn't love Brian Cream Pie as his name, although I did love it.
I loved it, but it didn't hit the same way.
If he needed to wear it, he had to wear it. But I didn't love it from a creative standpoint. I felt it was a little lazy, a little like pencil whipping. But
so what did you?
I have to be honest. I thought very little about this.
Even better. So what are your new and improved potentially drag names for Brian?
Mistress, Fellow, Opium Tubes.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's pretty good. I had, because I kept spitballing things, so I have, I'm trying to read my notes. I have 4 that I thought of. Was there anything else that,
What is this? Tiny buttons? Baby buttons.
These are courtesy of a guest here at
Hold
BC's
me
Bottle
closer,
Lodge.
tiny buttons.
Nice. So the ones that I came up with that
was for Brian.
Again, for Brian, these that
I couldn't think of anything better for Chris, and
I think that our names for Chris and Josh were perfect.
I really liked Jangle Food Cake.
Yeah,
I mean, come on now.
And Skyliner, I mean that's great.
Yeah.
And for Chris, I mean you had Krispy Kreme, which
I
is
did.
amazing.
I did. And it was amazing.
And I had Anita Goza, which is a play on the joke that they kept
making
about.
And it was very delicious sounding name.
But for Brian, the names that I was kind of tossing around in my head, much like tossing a salad, but not quite as exciting. Ooh, yeah. Sound effects. I don't even need a button for that. Marco provides the effects that we need. So the 4 Brian drag names that I feel better about than push me buttons. That kind of sucked. I couldn't.
All right.
I couldn't come up with anything
Julia,
else.
all right. If you have 4, right?
I have 4, and I'm going to run through these fast.
Start 4, and then hit the sheet in between each one.
Okay.
All right.
Your shit or Lee's shit.
Lee shit.
Lee shit? All right. Okay. So the first one that I had was Ivana New Buttons. Like new buttons. Ivana New Buttons.
Shit.
The next one that I came up with was Reba Mabusi.
Shit.
And then I thought he drinks a lot of Elijah Craig. So Alicia Craigina, like Elijah Craig Gina. I don't know. I couldn't really make that one work, but there it is.
Shit.
And then purely based on this past episode, you mommy puckers.
Shit. All right. Okay. Very good. I think,
Brian is still a work in progress for me. There is still nothing that I feel like
he's like Play-Doh.
Well,
we just need to, work with him a little bit more.
Yes, we need to just keep kneading him.
So let's move on to Beth. I mean,
hell yeah. Tiny buttons and baby buttons, those are pretty daggone good. Not gonna lie. We'll see if anything else strikes us.
All right.
Any better than those. So Beth, what did you think of? I had, let's see, one.
This was tough, and I love that Beth wanted
a drag king name,
a king name, and
we wanted
Beth. Please know the only reason we didn't do it in the first show is because you weren't on the show.
That was it.
Period. That was it.
Right.
But we are here for trying to give you a drag king name, and I know you would own it, and at some point. Because I know that we know that you also go to cosplay festivals and things of that nature that maybe just maybe you would own that character at some point if you really loved it. I will go ahead and start off. It was very hard to find anything that I could associate back to your name, Beth. So what I went is
Breath was too easy.
Yeah. I didn't do it. So I'm going to start with easy, and then I'm going to build up to other names. So I'm gonna go. So I'm going to go easy.
Okay.
I'm going to go simple.
Okay.
And then we can build up from here. I'm going to go Count Burpula.
Ooh. Nice. Very nice. What's next? Keep building, baby.
You don't have another one?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were doing all of yours.
You going to go back and forth?
Okay, yeah, let's do back and forth. So the first one that I had that I'm not...
For Beth,
that I'm not crazy about, but it was just kind of, again, the first thing that I thought of. Ken Oma Fucks, because she has the button that's Oma Fuck. So Ken Oma Fucks.
Okay.
All right. Not the best, but again, I think I got better as time went on. What's your next one?
I got Alan Hersnatch.
Ooh.
Or Alan Hersnatch.
I like that. That's good. The next one that I had was Walt the Fuck.
Okay.
Kind of like a what the fuck, but Walt the Fuck.
I have
Again,
Richard Duels.
Ooh, okay.
So
Man, you're hitting this one out of the park.
So you gotta think of the Richard, thing.
I hear you. The next one that I had for Beth was Ewan Danger.
All right, and I got Bud Weisner.
That's a good one. I like that a lot. The last one that I had for Beth is, it's nothing to do with her personality, nothing to do with anything that she said on the show before. So it was purely just random words that seemed to fit. Chad Dangles.
And then I got Big Buddy Belch.
Big Buddy Belch. Okay, so Beth, let us again. I still feel like Brian and Beth, we still have not 100% hit the nail on the head.
I don't think so.
But we are so much closer.
This is a fun strain to keep trying to work on.
It is. So Brian and Beth, let us know what you think. I mean, again, Josh and Chris, we're done with you guys. We are both very happy with our names for you two. For some reason, Brian and Beth, this might be a new segment for the Shift Beers segment of the show.
I don't know.
Is either new or improved drag names. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, she didn't love Alan Hersnatch.
If she
we'll
doesn't
see.
love that, okay, so this is what we'll do. If they are not happy with any of the names that we've picked, we will continue to try to find that perfect drag name for everyone on the Shift Beers team. Again, Chris, Anita Goza, and Krispy Kreme, and then Josh with
Jangle Food Cake
and Skyliner. I don't know. I feel like those are solid. I feel like those are good. But Brian and Beth, for whatever reason,
I don't know.
You guys are tricky.
It's
you
tricky.
guys are tricky to pin down.
Tricky.
All right, so moving on to other things in the podcast. Beth, I am so sorry I wasn't able to make the women's panel at Esoteric Brewing.
And you weren't invited.
Well, I could have been there to be in the audience to support them. I already had previous plans, and I feel terrible, but I hope that it was an absolutely wonderful event.
But if you were invited, you would have. If you were on the panel,
I would have gone.
Probably.
I'm not in the brewing industry, so why would I be invited to a
shit.
beer in
I want
brewing?
everyone. Listen, Linda. Listen, Linda.
Linda, shit, I forgot about Linda.
Jesus.
Take the wheel.
Anyway, Julia.
I drink beer. That's the only connection I have to the brewing industry.
No, stop it. No. And to everyone who's doing a women panel out there in Cincinnati forever in the future, get Julia on the goddamn show. And I mean that seriously. And you should have Julia, because Julia is just a great person, resource, and has a great point of view. And I'm advocating for Julia to be at these things. That's all I am. I'm sure it was a fantastic panel, and I know it was because I saw the panel of
the
ladies.
people that were there.
They were
amazing.
Fantastic. I'm sure they had amazing things
women
to say.
there. Yes.
You were missing a voice, which was Julia.
I'm not going to keep arguing this, but thank you.
You
Marco.
don't need to, because
because you're doing Shift Beers.
You should have been there.
Shift Beers.
Okay.
BC's is going to kick us out of here. We need need to stay on topic.
Let's go.
All right.
Moving on.
So the topic of this episode, beers for breakfast. How did it come about? Beth picked a beer, and then Josh and everyone else just kind of built upon it. She picked out a beer, Founder's Breakfast Stout, and then Josh went, well, let's all pick beers that remind us or tie into somehow breakfast.
I don't know how they didn't name the fact that I was with them when that happened, but I was right here at BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery.
Hey.
When we were all here, we were having beers. It was fun, and they don't need to name me and that stuff because they put a piece of our podcast in their podcast.
If you're going to throw me under the bus for the whole women's panel thing, you need to be just as involved as I do with the ideas for shift beers. Okay.
Look, it was as simple as this. They said, Beth, go pick a beer. And Beth was running around, and she's like, I found Brekfast Stout. And they're like, awesome. Beers for breakfast. That's the next podcast.
Speaking of beers, breakfast, and related things, Wolf's Ridge Brewing has just re-released their Cinnamon Toast Brunch Cream Ale. It is fucking fantastic. If you see it out there, grab a 4-pack, grab a single can. It's amazing. But again, BC's is going to kick us out of here soon, so we need to cover the rest.
It was fun. That happened right in that with me here at BC's. They picked the episodes. They did the episode. So let's go. Moving on.
I just want to say that I am incredibly proud of Josh, of Shift Beer's Josh, not my Josh. Well, I'm always proud of my Josh. This is going to be weird. I'm going to cut that. So Jangle, I am... Jangle, I am incredibly proud of you for all of the healthier choices that you're making, no matter how small they are, being it an extra glass of water a day, walking a little bit. I'm trying to do the exact same thing, so that is amazing. I just want you to know that any support you need for that stuff, I am here for you. But I was interested to hear that when Chris tries to get on a treadmill, he is over the weight limit purely because of his single ball. His singular testicle puts him over the weight limit of a treadmill.
That's unfortunate. It is
unfortunate.
You know, I do understand.
But I say, fuck the weight limit on the treadmill. If it doesn't break, just do it.
Get on it.
Just get it.
Just get on it.
Fuck that treadmill. Fuck that guy for saying you can't get on the treadmill.
That's
with
correct.
Your one ball.
Yeah, he's got
he's
got a treadmill, and he's like, I'm just slightly over the weight limit, and we're like, you know what?
Although, if your one ball is the cause of that excess weight, you might want to see a doctor about that.
No. He's like, no, I totally authorize that if you are over the weight limit by one testicle, get on the treadmill, bro. Get on the treadmill, bro. I mean, and walk your ass. Take your
how long can it take to lose one ball's worth of weight?
Take your long ass crack. Get on the damn treadmill.
Doesn't he do a Peloton? Like, does the Peloton seat just keep going up and up and up and up?
Yeah, it's an extremely high seat for the Peloton. And but you know,
all joking aside, anyone that wants to do anything that does anything to improve their health, hell yeah to you. You have our 100% support behind that.
Yes,
and
do it.
I mean, I could use an account. I've been getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to work out for the last couple of days because if I try to do it after work, it doesn't happen. So I understand the struggles. I am trying to do what I can for myself. If I can help encourage or support anyone else to do so, even if it's just drinking 1 glass of water more a day than you normally do, let me know. I would love to help you out with just telling you you're doing a kick-ass job with it.
That's really cool, Julia. And you know, I totally support that. And I am our listeners don't want to be bored with, you know, with the time when I used to run 10 miles a day. Or,
when both of us did obstacle course racing.
All this other mess. I truly appreciate that, you know, you want to put out the you know, what you're trying to do extra and invite people to do the same, and I appreciate that. I really, really do. And I know you have tried to get me to get on board with that, and I will.
Hey,
I will at some point.
I have offered that Marco join me on walking 6.5 miles through the woods in Indianapolis in the dark, and he's like, I think I'm good.
Yeah,
but if you do, I mean,
but I think it's not that I haven't done things in the past that would say, yeah, I do that. It's just I'm not
Doing
at that.
it now.
It's not. I'm not at that point in my life right now.
Yeah.
And but things come around, and maybe I'll do that. And so, thank you, Julia, for being a beacon for our listeners, and also maybe inspiring me or people that I know at some point. So that's awesome.
So tying back into beers for breakfast.
Yeah.
Is there, if you're drinking a beer for, like, we know that Dell from 16 Lots is doing his Lent,
Sure.
and this isn't shift
yeah.
beers related, but kind of trying to tie a bit of the beer community into beers for breakfast, this episode of Shift Beers. If you're drinking breakfast beers for breakfast, could that potentially be a new Maplegate if you are familiar with the Cincinnati Craft Beer community, or even just #Maple if you are someone that enjoys a breakfast type beer earlier in the day as more of a day drinking? Is Deja drinking going to be a thing? Could it be a thing?
I mean, it could be.
Okay.
And wasn't the socially influenced beer from Streetside?
It was a waffle brown ale.
A waffle
it was
brown ale.
So good.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
Yeah, and
that would have fit this perfectly. If there's any around, I don't know how good it's still. It would be.
It's probably still amazing.
Still amazing.
I mean,
Okay. It's a shame that they couldn't find any of those, but man.
Yeah, but
that was delicious.
I mean, for me, I mean, when I think it's a little bit different. I mean, I'm not, whether it's vacation, and it certainly, my wife. Shout out to my wife, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
And my kids, Vincent, Alicia, Ari. Shout out to all of them because they listen to the show, and but. For me on vacation, I wake up and I'm like, it doesn't matter if I'm gonna, cook eggs or, get into doing a little bit of, I don't know, washing dishes or what. If I'm on vacation, it's like, hold on a second.
Beer whenever you want beer for breakfast.
I'm gonna have a goddamn beer because I'm on vacation.
Absolutely.
Shit.
Absolutely. Hold on. I got a button for that. Do you want your button or do you want...
No, I want no.
The button. All right.
Shit. I'm on vacation. I'm having a goddamn beer. That's how that shit goes. And so let's go.
Okay, shift beer. So what else did you have? Because I still have a couple notes on shift beers. And I am so sorry because normally I know we do a much more comprehensive, cohesive recap of shift beers, but we did take a fairly long break to talk.
12 minutes.
Well, so what I want to say is we had an amazing time talking with a good friend of the show and a good friend of ours, the Gnarly Gnome, so that did eat up a good chunk of time. We want to recap this as close to accurate as we can, but again, we are running out of time before.
It's got like 15 notes over here, and we have like 12 minutes before the place closes.
Okay, so let me see. They were talking about how they needed instead of a Bill Nye the Science Guy, something for Brian because he is the brewer.
A new button. They needed a new button.
You know what I immediately thought of?
What?
Brian, the brewer guy. I mean, why? It's so simple. It's right there. They don't need anything special for when Brian talks about the science behind a beer. It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. I also hope they have like an opposing button where like,
oh,
he's full of shit.
Would that be something like this?
Shit. Right.
Yeah.
Like
you saying it.
Oh, that was amazing, and he's like,
and then it's like, no, that was just bullshit.
That was bullshit.
Bullshit.
No, but yeah, for real.
They tried to add qualifiers to their burps with the whole pre-burp thing. I'm sorry, but if you have a pre-burp and no burp, it doesn't count in the burp count.
No, I mean a pre-burp's not a burp.
No, and they even said, did a burp come after that? And they're like, no, It's still buried in my body somewhere. It's
right.
not a burp.
And
it
before
doesn't
we
count.
before we get into the burp count,
Yes.
I just want to close the show by asking.
I have 2 more notes that I need to
go
cover.
ahead. Good, dude.
One, the pronunciations that they had
Yes.
near the end of the episode.
Mispronunciation.
Phenomenal. You did better than I did.
Okay.
And because you guys tend to use me as your source, your resource
Yeah,
source.
they do.
I don't know words.
They do. They do.
Yes, you did drink Little Fish's array of semi-precious stones before.
When I was on the show.
You drank that during the bonus episode, right? Episode 49. And it was Brian's bonus beer. So you are welcome.
I told that to my youngest when they were in the car with me listening to about the last 20 minutes of Shift Beers when they said vagina about 40 times. And so my youngest...
You know what vagina rhymes with?
Vagina.
Or even for Jangle and I, Legina from Oak Island. It's Legina, but I like to say it as Legina. It's spelled the same.
Oh, okay. Good for you two. Good for you two.
All right. That's all that I had for, aside from the burp count for this episode of Shift
if
Beers.
you
What else did
want
you
to hear
have?
if you want to hear anyone say the word vagina, just log on to the last 20 minutes of Shift Beers, and the word vagina is said over and over and over again. I have a lot of notes over here.
Yes.
We need
Yes.
to close out the show.
You actually have written notes this time, not written by you, but you have
it's
written
handwritten.
notes that
Too many.
Man, so while you're waiting for the notes to be finished, I just want to say I only have 2 pages left in my notebook for Truth, Beer, and Consequences. I started this notebook full of show notes July 27th, and I am almost completely out of pages, which is amazing.
Are all the Fruit Loop beers breakfast beers, quote unquote?
That's a good question. I
don't know
would
what
say
the rest
yes.
of this says.
It's hard to rhyme a word like vagina.
Oh.
It's hard to rhyme.
It's hard to rhyme
with like vagina.
a word like vagina. No, it's easy.
Okay.
It's easy. You got it.
No.
You just
Okay. Anyway. So, love you all, and we need to stop. We need to go ahead and give you the burp count,
Yes.
and then get out of here because they are going to kick
They're
us
gonna
out.
kick
So,
us outta here.
by the way, let you know, there's one show that we listen to that we do a drinking game with, or we advertise a drinking game with. We
Yes.
haven't done one with them, but
if we did the drinking game while we recorded this, we could not get home.
Probably
Period.
not.
Well, at least I couldn't.
So what happens is, what we do is we tick mark every audible burp from Shift Beers, and then judging on a ounce count of about 2 ounces per drink, we let you know how many ounces you would have drank for if you did the burp or the drinking game with Shift Beers. And so Julia keeps count. Or Truth Beer Pod keeps count, and then we let you know how many burps, how many ounces, how many pints, and then that's that's the drinking game. That's what we do. So Julia, you have the data.
I
do.
do.
You have ran the computers and
The algorithms and
algorithms analysis, and let's go.
All right, so they asked in the beginning of this episode, they were like, what is our highest number of burps ever? They thought it was the episode where Danny was on the show. I looked back through my notebook full of notes, and they were correct. Episode 67 of Shift Beers, the episode where Danny was on, was the highest number of burps. They hit 80 burps, which is phenomenal. This episode, I just want to say Beth fucking brought it as far as those audible burps that we were able to count.
She's just a powerhouse.
She's amazing. We all know that Beth is our favorite, hands down. So in this episode of Shift Beers, they had
Big Buddy Belch.
Big Buddy Belch, or Chad Dangles, or You in Danger, or any of the other drag names that we are trying to fit to Beth, which,
Alan
again,
her snatch.
I still love that one so much. So, with Beth being the best contributor this week, to the Shift Beers burp count. They had a grand total of 61 burps, which is 122 ounces of your favorite liquid, which equals out to 7.625 pints.
Hell yeah.
Well done, guys and gal. Well done.
That's awesome, Julia. I love it. We got to get out of here. So
I still have to pick up some beers for my Josh. He asked me to help
they're
stock
about
the
to kick
fridge.
us out. So,
not our beer fridge because we don't have a beer fridge yet. But hey, tax rebate season.
Hey, Julia, how
Marco.
would everyone? And thank you everyone for listening. How would everyone follow us and help us grow? And then where they send complaints and where they send us money and all that stuff.
Okay, so if you have a problem with the show, Twitter @RagingHop. Let them know. They will filter through all the complaints. They'll let us know about anything that's valid or even not valid. Maybe it's just funny. Raging Hop will take care of that for you. As far as contacting us directly, we are at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media platforms. We are at truthbeerpod@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. You can find all of our episodes on YouTube if you search Truth Beer Pod. And if you would like to monetarily donate to us to help us buy more pints so that we are this much fun on additional shows, you can do that by going to truthbeerpod@gmail.com. That's a lie. That is 100% a lie. That's an email address. truthbeerpod.com. Big blue link that says support us. Editing this is going to be great. That's all I got.
Awesome, Julia. What are you going to be doing next week?
Next week, I am going to be listening to a bunch of podcasts at Higher Gravity Blue Ash, so don't expect us here at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery and talking about them with you. How about you, Marco?
The same, Julia. Cheers.
Cheers. Have a great one, everyone.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye.